everything set up here. It's still a few minutes till. I'm going to go ahead and just hit up a few forums real quick. Because I primarily post on the tick source forums and also on the Steam forums. Let's get that over here. Check my stream quality real quick. Why does it say I'm offline? That's curious. I should be streaming. Huh. Okay. Let's see, is there any folks here? Oh, looks like a few folks are here. It's still, yay! True Shadox is confirming that I'm in fact streaming, even though my Twitch dashboard says that I'm offline. Okay, we'll roll with it. Appreciate that. Okay, let's do some quick posts. Sorry about this. Do a little administrative work before we get going here. Okay, updated. Okay, another form updated. It looks like it's just about time to get going. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. Cool. Okay. So I think it's just about time to start. Today there's going to be a hard limit on my stream time. We have family time stuff at 11 o'clock my time, so it's about 2 hours from now. So I'll try to get as much done as I can in these 2 hours. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Just looking at some uncommitted changes I have hanging out. Let me just tie this stuff off real quick. And then I'll go, I was planning on going over the changes to the repo since my last stream, which is kind of give you guys a good idea of what work has happened in the past week. So let's just go ahead and commit this stuff real quick. Sync. Okay, and we could probably look at it in here. It's probably okay. Actually, so, or maybe let's just do this. Hopefully folks can read this. Let me just do git log since July, what was last week? 17 would be the last time I streamed, so July 17th, 2016. It's still a lot. Let me do dash dash, one line. There we go. So I've done, looks like 6 commits, the oldest to the newest. So I started, I know I'd started some working on the gold wall textures last stream, and I've got those in a decent place. I could probably still do more work on them, but right now they're in a usable state. I added the grass wall decal. It kind of came up from a question about how do decals work. Um, I'm not sure if I really like it though. I mean, the more I've played the game with this and the grass kind of being splatted on random walls, I may come back and change this to some other different type of decal that works a little better. And then I've started reworking the temple star areas. If you follow me on Twitter or Twitch, you will have noticed that last Wednesday I did a bonus development stream. What I'm trying to do is have a regular stream every Sunday so people know where to find me. But throughout the week, if possible, I will try to do a bonus development stream. And those will kind of come up last minute because it just depends on how my baby son allows me to do that work. So I'll probably just do a quick tweet and then I'll fire up Twitch. So if you follow me, that's how you know about that. Um, so this is more texture tweaks to the gold tile textures. I thought that'd be cool to add a grass variant on the gold tiles. Again, just to break up the repetition. And then the last 2 commits are just about tweaking the temple start rooms. So these are the hand-built areas that get piece slotted together for the procedure generation. And these are the rooms that you first enter upon entering a floor. Okay, so that is all the work that I have been up to since last Sunday. So going forward from there, I really do want to kind of finish up working on these temple start rooms, and then I could probably either turn my attention towards the end rooms, or I could work on making some hand-built tiles for some of the other room variants. I received a question via email, so probably later in the stream, I won't read the email, but I will cover some of the questions that were asked of me. I'll do my best to answer them. So right now, let's just go ahead and let's just fire up the Delver editor and see where we left off. For those of you who do not know, the Delver editor lives right next to the Delver executable. So in your Steam library, or wherever so Steam, browse local files, or wherever you install Delver to if you got it from Humble, there should be a delvedit.jar, and you can run that. And this is the exact same editor that I'm using here. On Windows, you do have to Alt-Tab to the modal dialog. That's a bug in Java that unfortunately we have not found a workaround for. If you are a guru Java developer and know how to bring that to the front, please let us know. But just for folks to work around that, you can Alt-Tab and bring up the modal dialog. This is both true for open and save if there is no existing save. So I think I finished up 3 and 4. Let's look at 3. Okay. Yeah, I remember this one. So it's this start area that's kind of here in the middle of the tile, and back here you have like this lava fall, which I thought was kind of interesting. So you start here. Though it is kind of tucked away in the corner, it's kind of hard to see. Might have to do a better job of kind of I guess broadcasting where this entrance exit is. But back here, there are some kind of big stone heads, kind of. Oh crap! I can get out of there, so that's good. So there are these big stone heads in the wall here, which I thought were kind of cool. And I put these little bits of geo here to kind of block the hole because there's nothing really underneath them. So I just kind of put that there. And then yeah, it's just kind of just a very basic starting tile. I do have affordances on both sides, so you can get out of the lava should you fall into it. So it's not a game over, because that does bother me. I like to let you have a little bit of leeway. I mean, the lava is pretty unforgiving, but if you're quick, you can clamber back out of it. So that is tile 3, which I think is in a good state to kind of continue on. Also, there is tile 4. Let me see. Okay, tile 4. Oh yeah, this is the one with the split paths to the exit, and then I have this kind of little secret area back here. So I threw some loot down. So the thought here is that you would start here. And I do a little bit. I think I do a little bit better job here of kind of showcasing where the entrance exit is. It's on this little kind of a series of little raised, like a dais or a pedestal, whatever you want to call it. But I do this thing where you can kind of peek in the back. You can kind of see this back room, and we've got the walls here. And you come over on this side, same thing. You kind of blocked off. You can kind of see back there though. So that only leaves the third side over here. So let's take a peek, and you see that the this walkway has been destroyed and kind of fallen into the lava, so we have this kind of rubble texture on both sides to kind of give an indication of that. Actually interesting. So what I did is on the far side there, you can't see because there's some grass in the way, but there is a ladder. So let me exit out of play mode and go back into it real quick. So that you can see the ladder in unlit view pretty well, but I was hoping, yeah, that way you can kind of see it. It's backlit, so it seems a little bit darker. But the thought is if you have sufficiently enough health, or if you quaff a potion and make a run for it, you should be able to get back there. Oh, okay, but yeah, the timing is really close. So most likely you're not going to be a level 1 character and you'll have more health, but I have confirmed that it is possible for a level 1 character to get back here. And then when you do, there's a bit of a payoff in that there is a couple pieces of loot, and I make it pretty easy. There's just a quick hop back to the main area, so it's like a one-way kind of uh, route. And then I have this little two-way here. Again, I was just talking about how I like to as a general rule, not as a strict rule, but I like to have most passages be 2 tiles wide. If you get into 1 tile wide, that's when the enemies can really kind of pin you in, and that's not nearly as interesting. It actually can be quite frustrating, especially if you get an enemy in front and behind you, and then the number of options you have to deal with a situation diminish rapidly. Because I mean, a lot of your ability to deal with stuff is involved around mobility. So I like to try to keep 2 tiles wide so you can kind of navigate around the enemies. Oh, okay. Sorry. So I'm seeing this giant straight wall right here, all the way to the back, which is kind of bugging me because it just looks so artificial. So you see here how I've gone in and I've kind of broken up the wall simply by just adding in empty areas and raising and lowering the ceiling and floor. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. Oh no, it's right up against the. So this is the edge of the map tile, and if I remove from that, it will potentially connect up to other areas. But if I keep it small, I think it'll look okay. So let's try that. Let's. So the first thing I want to do is make sure my texturing settings are correct. So over here, I'm going to turn off paint adjacent because I don't really want to paint adjacent tiles right now. I'm going to select this tile here because this is essentially what I want to recreate. Is this? I think there's a better example over here. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, maybe turn on lit mode so you can see it better. Is I'm introducing these really short areas to simulate like cracks or uneven cave walls. So that's what I want to do on the other side. So I'm just going to select that particular texture there and hit G. And now if you notice my texture picker here in the upper left has picked up all the textures and the appropriate atlases that that particular tile is using. I'm going to go over here and just kind of replicate that. So I'll make a selection. How about 4? And then press enter to carve that out. And you'll see that you get this brick texture. That's okay. That is just the edge of the map texture, and you just have to kind of ignore that for now. But just know that whatever is on the other side of that will peek through. Most likely it will be just level geo, but it potentially could be connecting to another room, which may be cool. Maybe a little happy accident, so you can see through to other areas is not so bad. And then I'm just going to kind of tweak this a little by kind of raising and lowering these to make it look a little more natural. And again, you notice because this is below, where's the Z-plane? Yeah, so roughly right here is the Z equals 0 plane, and the selection of items works off of that. So because I'm selecting a tile below that, I can either hold my cursor higher, or I generally just go to a top-down view, just kind of manually position the camera up above, so it's easier for me to select the particular area of the map I want to work with. So I'll just select that guy, and then just kind of pull this up, pull that down, and then do the same thing for the other end. Up, down. Yeah, selection's being a little picky, so I'll just work around it. Okay, so that I think it looks all right. And then what I like to do is you can select all of them. And then if you notice, there are handles on the edges. So I'm going to grab this lower back edge and pull it up a little, and this top back edge and pull it down a little to just to break up the pure right angles. And similarly, I will do kind of the same in the middle to kind of slip them. So I will make that selection and pull that down, pull that down. I'm making it look a little more natural. And I mean, as natural as our engine can handle, obviously. Down. I'm sorry, this is kind of a tedious process, but I think it yields pretty decent results, so I'm willing to do it. That's the front. Yeah, this handle is the one I wanted. I can't. These are okay. That's good right there. Okay. I want to lower the ceiling by this just a little bit, so made a selection for the ceiling, and just grab the center and pull that down. Okay, that kind of looks all right. Then we got a ceiling selection like this, and do a similar thing. Again, just trying to break up how the ceiling looks. Um, this is purely aesthetic. There's no real other reason to be doing this. I just wanted to look pretty. Shift F flattens ceiling tiles. It was looking a little strange, so I just flattened it. So in context, it was looking nice because it was all like a smooth dome. But when you start pulling down sections of the smooth dome, it gets kind of jagged. So I'm just tidying that up a bit. Fuse.core says, hi, hello, Michael, I believe. Otherwise, hello, Fuse.core. And then the Lord Omega says, hi, quick question. The last update on Humble is from early 2015. Do you plan to push updates there again, or are you only maintaining the Steam build? I don't know of any plans to drop the Humble build. You'd have to talk to Chad about that one. He handles cutting the builds and sending them out to the different distributors. I don't believe it's our intention to. I apologize for that. Um, you should be able to, I think on your Humble page, you should be able to get a Steam key to get it. But I will chat with him after the stream to see what the status is of the Humble edition. Because we do love Humble Bundle. They're awesome folks. Okay. Again, just kind of tweaking ceiling tiles, making it look pretty. That's what I do. Does this ceiling make sense? Kinda. That texture is a little strange. Let's see. Upper wall, make it rock. No? Hmm. Weird. Okay. Okay, so back to this guy, trying to make it look a little bit more natural. I'm just breaking up this flat wall here so it's not as obvious that it's uh, artificial. Again, go to this far corner and pull this sucker way down. There we go. Yeah, no problem, the Lord Omega. I don't mind updating you. Um, yeah, so he says he likes having a DRM-free alternative. Just so you know, we don't put DRM into Delver. So the only DRM there would be that which is already provided by Steam. Because we're such a small team, we're more focused on the game and not trying to fill our game full of anti-theft technology. So please don't steal it. But yeah, we're more focused on making a rad game. Okay. We still have this chunk over here, so I'll probably do the similar trick. Um, right here. Make sure my texture selection is correct by hitting G to grab the texture there. And do the same thing here. Enter to carve it out. I'll probably leave this one a little bit higher, so that way it doesn't look so, actually, and I'll probably do the one next to it too. So enter to carve that one out. Um, make my selection, and then pull that down. Still leaving it fairly high up on the wall. Okay. All right, I can live with that. Okay, just kind of, again, just going in and just tweaking these to make them look rocky. Uh, Drunk Devs says, hey, how's it going? So Drunk Devs, as far as I know, is Gavin, who is a wonderful human being, and I've done a game jam with him. We made a game a couple years ago called Full Moon Rising, which is people still play occasionally, which is really rad, and it was a really fun project. He also is a really dedicated development streamer, so go check him out. He's a cool human being. Fused.core says he's glad he caught the stream, and he's wondering how does the engine allow for round room corners using a triangular wedge. There is a way to do that. You can select this. I think it's one of these. I forget the shortcut for it. Um, I don't particularly use it very much. I don't think it looks aesthetically appealing, but it's certainly there. Rotate wall angle? Yeah, there you go. So you can press U, and it will give you like um, a half tile, and just pressing U will flip you through all the different uh, permutations of that. Uh, so Gavin is asking if I'm trying to do this pretty regular. Yeah, so um, I guess I can share this with you folks. There's not much of you there, but I am. So I am leaving my day job. I'm becoming a stay-at-home dad, and I am going to try to do as much independent game development or game development in general as that allows. So in the early days, it might not be as much as I like, but I have committed to streaming every Sunday. And if you follow me on Twitch or on Twitter, I will try to do bonus streams, and those just kind of come out of the blue whenever time permits. And I will just give a quick tweet saying, hey, I'm going live, and I'll just do some Delver work. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just, I mean, sometimes art is tedious, right? So thank you for bearing with me. Just again, working on pulling down edges, pulling up edges, kind of just breaking the perfection as much as I can to make it look a little more interesting, just adding visual interest is what I'm trying to do. Oh, Gavin says, wait, I'm a father? Yeah. So this past April, my wife and I welcomed our first child, a little baby boy, Malcolm. He is wonderful, but he's high maintenance, you know. He's a little kid. He needs a lot of attention, a lot of love, but it's amazing. It's definitely changed my life. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, looking a little bit better. I want to also, I want to pull the floor up a little bit here. Hopefully it won't make it too impassable. That's my worry. So let's just do something like that. And I'm going to change the floor texture to that. And then I'm going to pull this up ever so slightly. And then add that up. And that. And then edge. Thank you for the congratulations, folks. Yeah, I don't know, it's a really cool experience. We wanted kids for a while, and it finally worked out for us. So the true Shadox is asking if we can make the lava animate more slowly, um, and he feels like it's herdy orange water, and I agree with him. I think it's especially true on this the vertical falling areas. Um, Uh, I will talk to Chad about that. I mean, I could dig into the shader and tweak stuff like that, but I don't know what the ramifications are. I mostly just do art and content creation on this project, but it's definitely something that is on my personal pet peeves list. But right now, it's not big enough for me to complain too much. But yeah, we're still working on polishing that. But I agree. It should be more of like a slow, goopy kind of feel, and not like a water kind of feel, but that also may be an artifact that they use the same shader. So I'll talk to Chad about that. Um, so Eden Jack says, I was going to ask how they fared in Delver, maybe a bit early. The Eden Jack, I'm not quite sure what you mean. Um, uh, if you could rephrase the question, I'll try to answer it appropriately. And again, here I'm just trying to simulate like stalactites, stalagmites, these kind of natural cave formations that you find. So I'm just kind of pulling this down, like it's almost like a broken off uh, feature. So there we go. Kind of pull more towards each other. There we go. Just kind of also tweak the surrounding rock to kind of support that look. So Gavin says he loves the look of the editor. Uh, Thanks. To be honest, we the editor does not get a lot of love. Basically, we make it as good as it needs to be for us to get the job done. My favorite thing about it though is it's just to hit P to play, so I can be level editing hit P and it drops me in, and I can just play, which is really nice when making level geometry because I want to make sure that you can't get stuck. Because sometimes these tricky cave walls you can get stuck in places, so you have to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then you hit escape and you get right back into level edit mode, which is a really nice iterative cycle. Some of the more traditional engines, there's a compile and a light step, but because of our game and it's kind of lo-fi, it's a pretty quick iterative loop there. Eden's, oh, no worries. You say he's 3 months old, so he's still little, but he's healthy, and yeah, it's all good on that front. Thank you for asking. Okay, so that's looking a little more interesting. A little, maybe. I'm probably gonna have to live with it. And then here, this is all ugly back here, but it's kind of a secret area, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it. So let me just file, save, file, open the next tile, and see what work we have to do there. So that's number 4. So moving on to number 5. Oh yeah, yeah. These guys. Okay. These are the ones I was mentioning has these kind of cool vaulted roofs, which I don't want to lose. Um, so maybe I can just double down on that. Maybe I could maybe add another section of that. So let's select that. Do something like this. We'll fill that in solid with backspace. Then you press enter to carve it out like I have been doing, which gets us, the nice thing about that um, is it gives us a uniform floor and ceiling height, which is handy sometimes rather than trying to individually tweak all the tiles. You can just quickly do that, kind of reset where you're at. Um, okay, that's cool. So you'll notice the textures here are a little strange. So this is a case where I do want to go over here and turn on paint adjacent and then make the selection, hit shift enter to paint those adjacent tiles. Um, and actually, let me just pick over here. So this is picking up this tile's texture. So select that tile, hit G. I'll grab its texture. Actually, let me grab so yeah, that's good. And then I will just make a selection on the outside. Shift enter to paint. Shift enter and shift enter. So I have this going on. I only really like using the solid gold for kind of like column features or like really like cornerstone parts of the structure. So I'll go in and I will kind of change the interior so it's not just like completely solid gold because I think it doesn't look as nice. So is it the upper wall texture? Yeah, there we go. So dropping that in. Do the same thing on the other side. Back here. Then also have I think I have another. Yeah, I do have another gold variant. So I'm just kind of selectively going in and just breaking it up a little, not too much. Having a little bit of a gradation back there is kind of cool. Let me just pop in and see what that looks like. Yeah, it looks all right. So now what I want to do is I want to replicate. So the features here, the couple features I think are cool are these kind of steps up, and these vaulted ceilings, and they also are kind of stepped as well. So I think the fastest way to do that is to make the vaulted ceiling first, and then to just change the heights as we need to. So let's go ahead and do that. So for this area, I want to select the room there. I'm going to raise the ceiling a touch. Let's see. Does that look about right? Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And then what I'm going to do, I think, yeah, let's make this selection here, and then grab this middle edge and just pull it up to get the vaulted ceiling look. And then I'm just gonna have to kind of guesstimate on the pitch of that. I think that looks correct-ish. We'll see. And then just do the same thing on this opposite side. So make the selection, and then I'm just going to grab this edge and pull it up until it matches. Thankfully, we do have snapping. I want to say it's in units of, or in sixteenths or eighths of a unit, so that makes it easy to line stuff up in the editor. So Gavin has to head out and take care of some stuff. He says good luck. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you as well. Hopefully, if you don't pop into my stream, I will check out yours. Take care. So another nice feature about this too, as leading into it, it's also pretty open in here. It's not, so I need to change how the entrance to this area feels also. So I will select this. So the upper wall needs to be that. The ceiling needs to be rock. Cool. And then I will pull this up approximately there. And then I'll do something similar to where I'll just kind of, I think this is the ceiling over here? Yeah, the ceiling over here is slightly vaulted. Or is actually, yeah. So actually, what you can do here is make this selection. And if you hit V or Victor, you can change it from edge selection handles to vertex selection handles. And this is really handy if you have multiple pieces of geoselectics. I can grab the center one and pull it up. And then what you see is that makes like a domed ceiling. Turn the lights on, maybe it's a little, well, so hopefully you can see what it's doing. Let me get a side view here, yeah. So I'm getting this kind of domed effect to the ceiling. So then I can grab maybe this one and pull it up, not nearly as much. I still have these kind of cool features to the rock. And then I'll probably pull this one down because I was just trying to exaggerate for illustration purposes. Okay. Let me see, play. Yeah, that's feeling better. Kind of feels like that a little. And then what I want to do is raise that up. So also probably ought to, so in the raising process, I'm going to lose height. So I want to make this higher than it needs to be. And then I will raise the floor and lower the ceiling to make that effect work. Hit V to turn off vertex mode again, go back to edge mode. So I want to grab this entire face and pull that up, but not too much. I don't want to go beyond that. Okay. To play, this is plenty big now. So I want to say pull this area up so I can have the nice stepping effect. So let's pull that up, pull that down, and then in this area, just kind of do half that amount and see where it leaves us. So pull that up a little bit. And then I'm going to, again, grab the center handle for this face here and pull it down a touch and then see how that feels. It's kind of cool. I think it feels way lower than this one. Yeah, and this one also has these really cool side features that I do not have over here. So let's just go ahead and select this whole thing here. And I'm just going to pull all of it up so it kind of stays consistent with itself. Then I will hit P to play. That feels a little better. Actually, that might be a little too tall. Just a little tall. Yeah, I can fix that. I could probably just lower the ceiling, to be honest, to make that feel a little bit better. Cool, I think it's about where I want it. And then I can carve out the side features here to add some more interest. And also, I think I want to, let me see, the depths of the rooms is different as well. Yeah, let's just go ahead and, so let's select that, and then let's select that one. That's a little bit more correct. The floor needs to be this, the ceiling needs to be this, and then I can carve that. Then I'm going to pull this up to line up with that, and I'm going to pull this to line up with that. There we go. There we go. And then same thing on the other side. Whoa! Okay, sometimes you get where the floor has been lowered for some odd reason. So usually you can hit backspace to fill it in and enter to carve it out again, and that will reset those values, which is handy. Yeah, don't panic. You can get around that, or you can manually pull it up. You'll sometimes it's easier just to hit backspace and then enter again. And pulling that up. Actually, I wonder if I set it down a little bit. I think it might look interesting. Let me see if I like that or not. Kind of matching the. Okay, let's see how that feels. Here, that's cool. Ooh, spooky. Ooh, yeah, it generated some skull there. So maybe actually what I want to do also is to encourage that behavior. You can place what are called markers, and this just tells the engine to generate stuff there. So I'm going to say put a decor pile there, and then maybe a piece of decor there. Then we hit play. You will see that it prefers to drop skulls and bones and stuff in those specific areas. Decor is definable for each like tile set for a level. So right now it just defaults bones, but it could be whatever is appropriate. Different areas use different things for decor. So this area is looking kind of cool. All right, I do want to go over here and then maybe similarly just make this. Actually, let me grab this guy's texture. No, this guy's texture. There we go. And then just carve that out and then kind of make it a little bit deeper as the other, as kind of match the other one a little bit. So let's bring that up. Bring this up. Cool. And then I'm going to select that and bring it down. Okay. And then same thing here. I'm going to grab the handle in the middle there, pull that down. Actually, let me go ahead and just do the vertex trick I was showing you. So pull this whole thing down. I should have just started that way. Hit V for vertex, and then up there, and then this one right there. So we get this nice pitched effect. And then we need to lower, I want to lower this down to kind of match the little step there. So V to go back into edge face mode. And then to make it deeper? No, that's right. Okay, yeah, so pull that down, a step down. Also same thing here, pull this one down. Okay, also, actually I want to, let me see what it looks like, because there's a torch marker here, so we'll always drop a torch, but it's in the middle of the room, which isn't as nice. So I want to do something like place a torch marker here and maybe here, because I really want to call out that this area is the start and exit. So I hit P, go these two torches. Actually, I'd much rather have them on the front side here. So what I have to do is, instead of using markers, I'm going to manually place an entity. Actually, let me take a quick sip of coffee and see what you guys are chatting about. So the true Shadok says, assuming doors and hidden walls are under prefab in that menu. Yeah. So if you right click, so entities and prefabs are basically the exact same list. It's just how they're treated within the engine. Prefabs cannot be modified, whereas entities can. So the nice thing is if you have an entity, you can tweak all the individual settings on the object. But with prefabs, if you ever change the definition for that object, all the prefabs change. It's kind of similar to how Unity's or just prefab systems in general work. So usually you use entities for one-off things, and you use prefabs for things that are going to be replicated in mass, like mostly like decoration trims and stuff like that. But he was asking about hidden walls. So yeah, there should be entities, doors, and we have wood 1, wood 2, and hidden 1. And those are where the doors live. Dan Kuza says, been trying to get this, get on the stream for ages. Turns out Chrome. Oh, yeah, I've heard some folks having issues with the stream in Chrome. Is it the shockwave, or I've also heard people complain regionally too. It depends on how many people in a particular region are watching. So sometimes, like in Australia or other areas, the quality of the stream isn't as good. So just to give you guys a note, if the stream quality is poor, I will be uploading the video on demand of this to YouTube, so we can go back and watch it at a more watchable rate if it's not good. Sorry, just rowing myself to take a breath. I feel like I'm getting a little amped up on coffee and just talking really, really fast. So if I am, I apologize. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove these markers. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and place a prefab. Lights, torch. And you see it actually drops a torch object in here. So I can select that, and then with shift held, I can kind of position it up against the wall, and control will snap that. So right there looks okay. Might probably a little bit low. Also, what I want to do is I want to put it on the other side. So I'm going to hit X to constrain to the X axis. We're going to hold Alt and drag, which makes a copy of the selected object. And then I'm just going to snap it over in place there. Let's see what that looks like. Also note that in the level editor, sometimes like the lighting on that can be a little funky. So let's select both of these, and then similarly to before, I want to hit Z to constrain to the Z axis. So you see the blue line. Yeah, in Delver, Z is up. In some engines, Y is up, but we use Z as up. That does not look centered. Let me real quickly fix that. So grab this, X, Control, and snap it in the center there. And then select that and that, holding Shift, and Z, and kind of move that up. There we go. I think that looks better, right? So, oh, the darkness on these torches is worrying me a little, but let's get this in the game and see what it actually looks like. The editor preview is pretty darn close, but sometimes there's just a little variation. Okay, so I want to fix. So sometimes on here, it helps if I just change the ceiling texture, texture Atlas T1, just to this kind of wood, this wooden framed hole. I do this mostly because if you notice these cobwebs and stuff on the ceiling, the generator has no definition for this particular texture, so nothing will appear there. So nothing will obscure the ladder. Then maybe also place a torch marker here because I really want to call out that that this is where you need to be. So I think light generally helps guide the player's eye. So light, 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 then, oh, here's where I need to be going. And actually, I'm going to swap those. So I'm going to remove marker. I'm going to, let's see, place a marker for stairs up here, and then I'll place a marker for a torch there. I didn't place the torch on the other side here because there's already a torch here, and sometimes you can blow the lighting out if you're not careful. So I put it on that far back wall, but I'm just trying to make sure that this area is well lit up for folks to find. So you're exiting here, and there's a torch there. You're going this way, and oh, I need to fix the ceiling texture, right? So grab that ceiling texture, then I'm going to just paint that there, and then I'm going to change the ceiling texture back to the Temple Atlas, and then just our generic floor and ceiling texture. So So there we go. So now we have this. And also, hopefully, coming in here now, it's much more clear that it's not hidden around a corner. It is kind of in a little bit more in plain view. So yeah, there we go. I want to break up some of this tiling texture on the back here. So grab, uh, and then the upper wall, make that maybe mossy, and make this guy like that. Again, I kind of like having this gradation of not a lot of gold, more gold, and a whole lot of gold. So I'm just trying to again break up how it appears. So it looks just for visual interest. It's not necessarily for realism purposes. Okay, let's look at some questions here. Um, so Fuse.core says, on the note of Unity, have you checked out Pro Builder? It feels a lot like your engine, but not as performant and flexible. Um, I've heard of Pro Builder, and they make cool stuff. I've tried out Pro Builder Lite. It's definitely more reminiscent of BSP, um, which means you can get room over room stuff. Particularly in Delver, it is 2D. You can't really do room over room without some tricky mesh work. Like we have some mesh blocks, you can fake it. And there are a few places where I have created areas like that. But mostly in Delver, you just make selections on kind of this 2D plane, and then you raise and lower the floor to simulate um, uh, the three-dimensionality of it. It's cool. Um, they're different tools for. I mean, they solve. I mean, obviously they're solving the same task of making a level, but with ours, we're way more constrained, and theirs is a little bit more general. But yeah, it's a cool tool. I haven't used it extensively in a project though, and I am biased because I use the Delver editor a lot. So for me, it's almost second nature by now. Dan Kuza asks, Delve Edit seems to be take a lot of inspiration on the Doom engine. Speaking of that in the future, will chunks go along the y-axis? He would be interested, but see to be detriment to gameplay. Yeah, definitely. Chad and I are huge Doom fans. Like that is the 1990s shooters is totally my jam. Like I was really into both the Doom and Build engine games, and I really love the look of that. Obviously, since we are constrained to a grid, we can't get some of the nice stuff those sector-based geometry uh, engines can do. But yeah, definitely inspired. The True Shadok says, is it possible to add a unique item that always spawn in a certain spot? For example, a hidden room that always includes an excellent jeweled dagger. Yeah, you can. Basically, whenever I right click, this menu is driven by JSON that describes what should appear in the menu. And you can just edit that JSON to say, be able to place a very particular item. For example, like this clutter, like I can place like a candle, and the candle is just a normal item, but I can place them. We tend not to place specific items, but you can. Um, this might we may use that for special areas, like for example, like you said, like they always contain a special item. Uh, Bimber says hello. Hello. Thank you for joining the stream. Taking a little bit of a coffee break and chatting with folks who have questions. Um, but I'm just working on making Delver start tiles for the new temple area. So, okay, a thing that's bothering me is if you notice, repeated going to play mode, that these kind of columns here are all a single texture, which, I mean, in some cases looks okay, but in other cases you can definitely see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is to kind of cheat and work my way around that. What I'll do is I will select that particular tile, hit G to grab its texture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a zero height empty space. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll hit enter to carve it out. And you see that we have the lower wall texture, the floor texture, a ceiling texture, and then an upper wall texture. So what I want to do is make the upper wall and lower wall textures different and then mash the ceiling and the floor together. So let's say I want the lower wall to look more like, say, this. And then I'll pull this up, and then we get something that looks like that, which I think maybe looks a little bit more interesting. But maybe I'll pull it just a touch higher. So make that selection and then pull that up. And what's nice is that the floor and ceiling can't overlap. So if you just grab it and pull it up, it will automatically make sure that they're the same height. So you don't get any weird Z-fighting issues. So I'm just going to do that trick on both sides. So I'm just going to go over here, grab the texture for this one, uh, enter to carve it out. Let's pull the floor up. Let's change both the upper wall texture to maybe this large gold block, and then this lower wall texture to maybe the sparse gold block. And you see right here that it's obviously the texture is being cut off. But I try to include these dark areas so where there's a more natural transition. So I will select this tile and I will just pull it up until I hit that seam. There we go. And I try to make sure that my textures line up generally on like 8 pixel or 16 pixel boundaries. So this sort of stuff is possible. Let me fix it. We get some weird Z fighting here. So let me just flatten that ceiling and then kind of just tweak that a bit. Sorry, the flickering was bugging me. Okay, cool. So yeah, so we're just adding some variation for these entryways. So you know, it does look, I guess if you look over here where it's all one single texture, I don't think it looks nearly as nice as when you use stuff like this. So this is kind of obscured by the ceiling, so maybe I'll pull it down instead of up. So let me select that, and then I'll go down until the next natural break. So down, 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 down. There. Okay. Yeah. I think that looks okay. Yeah. Cool. And then I'll do the same thing over here. G to grab the texture, enter to carve. Let me pull the floor up a bit. Let me change the lower wall to maybe that. Wherever a good point is to cut that off. I mean, unfortunately, I guess this texture isn't as nice as the other one, but that's a reasonable place to change textures. And over here, I do like the goldness of it, but let me just maybe change that a little so it's not so in your face. So what if it's just two gold textures on top of each other? Like the upper is a big solid gold block, and then the lower, maybe that is that kind of crummy, broken gold block. So again, it's pretty subtle. I think folks will notice. I mean, you can tell that something different is going on. I mean, it's not night and day different, but it is a bit of variation. Okay, that's looking cool. Let me save while I'm thinking about it. What else does this area need? Actually, let me sneak a little piece of loot back here. That should kind of reward people for poking their head back here. So place marker, loot. Nice. So we kind of have this, I don't know what the function of this area is, but they have these kind of cool vaulted roofs. Yeah. That's looking good. What I'm noticing, yeah, so here the upper wall texture is the nice gold brick, but over here I messed it up and made it rock. So let me fix that real quick. So there, no, here, maybe. So if I select that, Shift enter. There we go. Yeah, so having painted, oh no. So yeah, so that might be tricky to fix. Got to do paint adjacent and then not paint adjacent on other things. So let me try that. So here, upper wall, make it that. Yeah, paint adjacent, and then um, go back here and then turn off painted. Well, turn off paint adjacent, and then I just need to fix my upper and lower wall textures. Actually, I think I had this guy's my lower wall. There we go. Nope, I think I had the other one around. Lower wall, that one. Okay, cool. And then similarly on this side. Gee, actually, it picks up correctly, so that's good. Okay, nice. So now you can kind of tell that this is, in fact, yeah, actually, maybe that looks okay. It looks a little bit better. I don't want to add any torches here because this is not a critical path. So I think I don't mind the dark areas being having a little bit more loot, but they feel less safe. And the critical path that gets you from start to finish is lit by torches. So this torch off here by itself is kind of a weird spot, but let me see if that lines up with the. Yeah, that's pretty close to the middle point of the map. Because basically along here is where this will get um, connected to another tile. So the torch right here is actually a very good spot for it to be. Dan Kukuza says, any pixel art tutorials you recommend? My pixel art is awesome. Oh, that is very kind of you to say. I don't really have any pixel art tutorials I recommend. It's just a matter of practice. I feel like whenever I look at my pixel art, it just looks like I'm ripping off all the people I'm inspired by. But yeah, just practice, practice, practice. A cool thing to do is on Twitter there is the @pixels daily, which gives you a creative prompt every day, and people make pixel art in that vein, which is a really cool way to get practice in. It's nice that it's only limited to 24 hours, so you have 24 hours to do the best that you can, and it has folks of all different skill level, so that's a good way to jump in and just start practicing. But yeah, I mean, tutorials are great to get you going if you can't get past that first step. But yeah, other than that, it's just work. Okay. And actually, we have this. So here's what I want. Here's what I want to do. Because we have this one block wide area here, which makes it hard to navigate. Um, so I want to get rid of that. But I like this guy right here. So what I'm gonna do is move him over here into the lava. So let's do that. And then let's pull it up. And there's this cool thing going on here where this chunk missing, which I think is a cool feature. So up and down, and then I will just replicate that by hit F, flatten both of them, and then kind of just click, click, drag up. So we get this kind of. I might emphasize the chunk being missing a little bit more, but other than that, yeah, cool. So we have that there. Also that way you can, see right here, you kind of get this weird artifact where you can't really see the ceiling or the floor on that. You get this weird tangent. On the back side though, you can see it better. I'm just trying to make sure you can see the top and bottom actually looks a little bit more interesting. But I'm going to clear this out so we have more walkable space. So Alar Denisov says, "Is this your own engine?" Yes, this is a custom engine that was created for this project. It is written in Java and OpenGL, and this is the editor for that engine. GCB Dr. Mario says, "What's the name at Pixel Daily?" Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick and show you. Uh, So this is it's at Pixel Dailies, and they give you a prompt. So today's prompt is Resident Evil 2, a classic, either the movie or the game. I think you can take your pick, and you just you make pixel art for the given prompt. So I think yesterday's was Viking, so you see lots of rad Viking art. Um, yeah, so at Pixel Dailies is a good place to practice, and lots of kind folks there to help you out. Yep, Seven Soul is correct. It's at Pixel Dailies, Pixel underscore Dailies. Dr. Epic says, "Are you allowed to post a link?" Yeah, links are okay. Don't go crazy. Um, I'm trying to have my channel pretty open because I believe that all you folks are nice folks, and we're here to talk about game dev, and sometimes links are helpful for that. I appreciate you asking. That's very kind of you. Um, I guess the most famous pixel tutorial, and just talking about pixel art in general, is Cure's pixel art tutorial. Cure's pixel art tutorial. I'm just Googling Cure's pixel art tutorial. And it'll pull up a forum post, which looks like this. But this is really like, if you want to get into the technical nitty-gritty of what makes pixel art, he talks about like digital art versus different other forms like Okakaki. And he talks about different technique. It's just a really, really excellent read. So if you Google Cure's pixel art tutorial, that'll get you a good understanding of the technical chops. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a strict Bible, but I think understanding the rules of the art form is helpful for knowing when you want to break them, because that's what makes things interesting. Okay, so again, I want to move this pillar out of the way. So I'm going to fill it in, clear fill in, and then I'm going to remake my selection, pull the top up, pull that up. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and over here drop in similarly another pillar, and then I'm just going to pull that. Do a similar thing where it's broken. So flatten out both the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to kind of just uh, add an angle to it so it looks, just adding visual interest is what I'm doing. Maybe I'll have these do opposite angles so like there's a big chunk that came out of it. The lower texture is weird. Let me see if I can correct that. Oh yeah, it's the it's the random. Uh, uh, so certain textures can get swapped out, so that's what's happening there. So that one something's broken. Okay, that's fine. Yep, live with that. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to make it look like. So this looks like there's like a cross shape happening here, and I want to make it look. I want to basically add a broken off variant over here. That maybe is a secret, maybe it's not. We'll see. We'll see how it feels when we get there. Yeah, so the chat is talking about pixel art, which is cool. Okay, so let me see. One, two, three, four, five back. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to carve that out. Okay. So I want to make it look like this should continue over, but this one's all messed up over here. And then, so it should go walkway, 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 and then it should get wider out here. So okay, I want to, okay, there, and then G, and then 1. So what I did is I wanted the front of this to be rock, but the side to be that brick. So I did a paint adjacent of an empty space to make sure the wall picked up the correct texture. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to raise this to be the appropriate level where it would be had it continued on. So just kind of eyeball it, just kind of, actually I can use the, so here it kind of is right in the middle of that gold trim. So if I just raise this up to the middle of that gold trim, I should be close as far as the floor level. So yeah, cool. Okay. All right. So and then these two should be, okay. So I need to carve out these here too, just to get the correct shape of these features. And then I'll raise the floor and ceiling to match. Okay. Cool. And then, so I need to kind of start doing that vaulted ceiling look again. So let me go ahead and just raise this up a bit because that's how it's supposed to be, so I can get the ceiling height correct before I start messing with the vaulting. So P to play mode, that looks about right. Okay, so now I can just grab this here and then vault that sucker by grabbing the edge and pulling it up. Maybe it's a little too steep. There we go. And then over here on this side, I'll just grab the other edge and make it match. But make sure my selection is correct before I do that. All right, there we go. Okay, that's looking okay. Oh! Not close enough. Let me get there. Okay, that's cool. Might be a little too high. Let me go over here and pull this down. Pull that down. Okay, maybe pull this whole darn thing down just a touch. Okay, let me see how that feels. Joshua, stop jumping in the lava. There we go. It's a little claustrophobic, but this is kind of a secret area. So P to play. There we go. That's starting to look cool. Though we really should, like here, we need to do the little columns to kind of let you know that, to guide your eye a bit. So I'm going to select this, carve it out, pull the bottom up, and then I'm going to change that lower wall texture to say that. Cool. And then same thing here. I'm going to select that, carve it out, pull the bottom up, but not to the same level, so it's a little different, and then change that lower wall texture to maybe to this, and then the upper wall texture to maybe this grassy gold, so it's, I don't know, more interesting. Okay. Need to fix the ceiling here a little bit because that one piece coming down is strange. So Shift F to flatten, and then I'm going to angle it up like that, and then just kind of pull it up out of sight. I'm going to vault this piece here. So pull that down. Actually, we do it the other way around so you can make sure it's roughly the same. So pull this down first. Cool. And then pull this middle edge up, roughly the same angle as the other one, and then I can just match it like that really easy. Cool. And then, yep, that's looking all right. Maybe I want to kind of pull this. So I think there's a, let me grab this middle vert here and kind of pull this up so it's not obscuring so much. I still like this kind of rocky feature of the ceiling. Okay, let's take a look at the chat again. Okay, so more talk about pixel art, which is cool. Sutin22 says hello. Hello, Sutin. Dr. Homeschool says hello. Hello, Dr. Homeschool. True Shadox, for the broken up area, he thinks it would be neat to make it look like a cave smashed it in, as opposed to just having it deteriorated. I think that's cool. Yeah, let's just give that a shot. Let's do that. Lord Omega agrees with the Shadox. He said you can make it reachable with a trick jump. So people do these crazy trick jumps where in Delver, if you drop a potion on the ground and attack it, it becomes a timed area of effect. And people will attack a potion and you run at it and you can grenade jump off of it, which is not intended, but it's pretty cool to see folks do that. It's pretty hard to do. But also, another design consideration of Delver is we have a scroll of teleport, which will randomly pick any spot in a map that is tall enough for the player to stand. So you have to be careful when designing areas that if it's tall enough for a player to stand in, you should probably give them the way to get back out of it. Or you can go in specifically and add these collision volumes that prevent teleporting. Can you tell me a little bit about mesh generation, how it works? It looks similar to CSG, but it's not. It is not CSG. It's just purely tile based. So either a tile is solid or it is carved out, and then you can lower and raise the ceiling and floor, and you can texture the upper, lower walls and floor and ceiling, and that's it. You can change, like I can change the vertices of a given tile, but we can't do like level over level or anything that complicated. It's just tile based. And an earlier implementation of the engine actually stored the level pieces as bitmap data. Sutin complimenting on the software. Yeah, Chad or at Cuttigan is the developer who's done the engine and the editor, and it's really cool. I've grown to love it because I've been working on this project for 3 years now, 2 years, a while, a big chunk of my life, and I'm just used to all the little quirks. Um, so I do realize that folks, again, I'll repeat this because we haven't broadcast it super well, but if you have bought Delver, we do give you the editor as well. It lives right next to the Delver executable, so you can find that by browsing local files in Steam or wherever you install it in Humble. There should be a delvedit.jar, and you can run that and you get the exact same tools that we use. So yeah, Michael's asking about the texture variants. I want to take a little bit of time at the end of the stream maybe to talk about that, but not right now. Remind me, I need to leave in about 45 minutes, maybe in 15, 20. I'll go over how some of this procedural selection, or this random selection, but we guided a little bit. I'll touch on that. Talking about the brush, there's no rule. Again, a brush is a pretty generous term. It really is just a tile, and this is just top and a bottom. Yeah, so again, they're asking about the whole like carve. Either a tile is solid or it's not, and if it is not solid, it has a floor and ceiling height, and then we can manipulate those. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. So Dr. Kegel says, as far as you know, you cannot teleport onto lava. Correct. There is some rudimentary checking to see if it is lava we're plopping you on, but you have to be careful. For example, I would make these deep pit areas with a grate on top and water in the bottom, and it would teleport you in there because it was tall enough for you to stand, but you couldn't ever get out. So that's why we added the volume blockers to prevent you from being able to teleport into certain areas. And that's also how I prevent people from teleporting behind that secret door on the ice level. Yeah, no, I'm very happy to answer questions, folks. That's part of why I do this, because I love game dev, and I think it's a really, really fun thing to do. Because this started off as a hobby for me, and it is transitioning into a job, which is really cool. Um, okay, so I'm gonna do a little work. You guys can keep chatting. So I want to make it look like this has crumbled off into the lava. So I'm going to lower this and camp that down. And the same thing here. I'm going to make it even worse, where this is even further down. I'm going to camp this down, camp that down. Maybe pull that up. I want to make sure you can't get into there though. So the lava cannot climb up. If you are here, scramble up in there. That's cool. That's fine. I guess it kind of allows a trick jumping aspect. And I want to kind of replicate over here the brokenness of it. So I'm going to lower this down a touch, camp that down. And then same thing, lower that down. Kind of just make it look like something bad happened and that's broken. So they're like that. And then I'm going to, let's change the textures on this. So grab the texture, floor texture to that rubble tile I created a stream or two ago, just to kind of, I guess, reinforce that uh, uh, that this thing is broken. Turn off paint adjacent because I don't necessarily want that. Yeah, paint adjacent got me in trouble there. So select that, make sure paint adjacent is off, and then paint that floor tile, and then similarly here. Okay. And actually, I could probably make it even seem just a little bit further, like maybe move that guy down a touch, and then break the floor up there too. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Might be a little extreme. Let me pull it up just a little bit. So I don't want it to be an obstacle to the player. Just don't want it to hint at something happened here. Let's pull that up. Pull that up. And it's okay if it's not perfect. It's supposed to be broken and janky. So, yep. Ooh, what's over there? Something, maybe. Again, you might not be able to get out over here. I will add. Okay, let's go ahead, and we have some lava particles here, so I'm going to move those there, and then I'm going to add maybe some rock, just so you can get out. So maybe I'll make a little rock feature here. So floor is no longer lava, but it is rock. Pull that up. Lower wall needs to be rock also, otherwise it looks weird. Okay, let's make this selection, pull that down, pull that up. So, and flatten the ceiling, and pull this sucker down. Again, I'm sorry, like watching me create rocks is probably mind-numbingly dull. Okay, and then let's just pull this ceiling section down. Cool. There we go. That looks all right. And play. So you can fall into the lava. And get back out again, which is nice. These here are death pits, which isn't as nice, but they're not very big, so maybe it's okay for the time being. So yeah, so we have this kind of broken off area over here. And it was suggested that it's kind of caved in. So what I might do is I'll go over here and I'll pick this cave texture, and then for a good chunk of it, I'll just collapse it. So let's do this and paint that. And let's turn on paint adjacent because I want that. Turn off paint adjacent, grab that, paint that. So we get this. So I want just the floor here to be the rock. And then I'm not gonna fully fill it in, but I'm gonna to bring in the ceiling and the floor together to make it look like it's really squished. And it might not be passable in areas, but that's okay because this is kind of a secret thing. So just gonna quickly flatten out all these areas so I can work with them. Okay. So then, like this point here is going to be the. Actually, I'll also do it over here too. So G, and then paint. I want that to be like that. Okay, and that gold is okay. So this is going to be the most extreme part. So these are going to be basically touching. Like they're going to be like that. So I pull those really close together, and then these are going to be not nearly as extreme as that. So pull this up, pull that down. Sorry, trying to make sure to look at the camera every now and then. Otherwise, I just feel like a crazy person. Okay, and then over here, floor up, ceiling down. And then again over here, but not as extreme. Just trying to taper this off. Up and okay, that'll work. Now just kind of play with the angles a little bit. Generally, stuff um, like if there's debris against a wall, it will slope up towards the wall. Generally, that's assuming that it came like off the wall and it's not being poured into the middle of an area. But generally, I like to make this assumption. So this is sloping away from the center part, but it's also sloping away from the wall. So pull that down, and then kind of a similar concept here where I'll pull this down, so it's sloping away from the wall. And over here, I will pull this up, pull that up, and down, down. Okay, so there we go. Play. Can't really see too much back there. When you get the atmospheric fog in Engine, you can actually see a little bit further than you can in the editor preview. But also, I want to put some junk back here to reward people who can get back here. But again, I don't want to add game breaking stuff, so I'm just going to place maybe just a loop marker. And over here, I'm just going to manually place some debris. So I'm going to right click prefab. I want to add, here we go, entity, basic, sprite, and thankfully the default sprite is this little rock guy, so I can just drag around instances of this rock to kind of make it look like this is broken up. And again, to make quick copies, you hold down Alt, and to constrain to the XY plane, you hold Shift. So Alt Shift, and then I'm just kind of dragging these and placing these around. Just as I think look appealing, but be careful not to keep, sometimes you fall into the trap of making the same patterns over and over again, or nicely placing them in the middle of a tile like I did there, so I'm just gonna kind of make it look a little bit more natural. Okay, that looks cool. Ooh, there's a lantern back there. Where'd you get that? That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Actually, can I just always place a lantern back there? So that was a happy accident. So remove marker, place entity, lights, clutter, lantern. There we go. So yeah, perfect. So now there'll always be a lantern back there, which is a handy object, but it's also just, I think since it's a dynamic light, it makes it look interesting and cool back there. So now you can actually always see this destroyed, broken up bit of area. And even to sell it further, I made a special prefab for crumbling temple wall. Nope, not that. Sorry. What did I call it? Prefab generator. Oh, no, it's a entity misc-mesh rock debris. So this is a mesh that I use just to represent like rock falling in. It's primarily used in the dungeon area, but also used in the cave area. But I also made a texture variant for the temple. And I just need to remind myself what the name of that looks like. So let me just pop into my repo real quick. Excuse me. Uh, assets, textures, temple, and this is called meshes.ping. So let me make a note of that, and then I can go over, because, oh, sorry. So this is a prefab, and with prefabs, you can't change the properties of an entity. But if I go back here and right click and place it as an entity, um, uh, misc meshes, rock debris. Now I can tweak all the values. And what I want to change is the texture file. So it is not meshes, but it is textures slash temple slash meshes. And now you can see um, it pulls up that new skin I made specifically for this area with they're different colored rock and gold. So what I want to do is I'm going to press T to flip that around a couple times. And I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to kind of wedge it in the wall to make it look interesting. Let's slide that back. So I want to intersect the wall geo like that. So now you can kind of, yeah, so you kind of get the idea that this is kind of spilling out. Let me take a look at the channel real quick. Um, Lots of good chat. Let me see. Um, so Dr. Kegel suggesting packing Delbed as a exe. Um, yeah, so good suggestion. I'd like to. On some platforms, it's a little trickier than others, but certainly I think an executable for the editor makes sense. And I also like to have the editor more easily accessible from Delver itself, so people discover it. Because right now we do have a discoverability issue with the editor. So Michael's complaining that he thought his main idea of getting behind that door was using a teleport scroll, which I mentioned that I used a teleport blocker to prevent teleporting behind it. Dan Kuzo says you can use wands to rocket jump, which is kind of true. Yeah, you can rocket jump with wands a little bit. Tittles and Bits says hello, good to see the game is in development. Hello, I'm also happy the game is still in development. It's been slow, but we're still sticking with it. So thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've been getting negative reviews because it's been a long time since we've updated. So that's why I've carved out time, in my free time to do these streams because I need to get work done and I want to show you how I work and to interact with you folks. So yeah, so Alar Denisov is sharing stuff he's working on, which is cool. I'll take a look at that after the stream. Yep, so talking about game dev, which is cool, which is what this stream is about. So there's another request to talk about how to randomize the textures in the walls. I'll probably do that the last 15 minutes of my stream. I'll talk about how we do that because it's not terribly long, but they're just mostly just modifying JSON data to do that. ZWAC or ZOWK is saying, why are the Steam reviews saying the game is abandoned? To be honest, it's been about almost 9 months without an update. Strangely enough, 9 months almost corresponds to, well, I guess my son is 3 months now, but basically I am the primary producer of content for Delver, and for the past year I've been supporting my wife during her pregnancy and raising my son. So that's any free time I had to work on Delver, because I do work on Delver only in my free time. I'm transitioning from my day job to work on Delver full time, but for the most part, this has just been a side project for me. Yeah, and Tills and Bits is correct. The Steam update has not happened in a while. Okay, so back to making more stuff. Okay, so I think this is in a cool spot. Let me just maybe pull that up a little. Okay. There we are. Actually, this one texture looks out of place. So let me just go over here and make that rock as well. So that just seems to be a little bit more da, 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 da. Just the flow is nicer. Okay. Okay. I think we've made good progress on this piece. Hit play. So you're coming back here. Um, yeah, there's not a lot of room here-ish. I could add another rubble bit to give you some, maybe afford it just some maneuverability. So scoot that over. Pick textures there. Floor, make it rubble. Rubble makes sense, I think, in my head. So temple, rubble, and then kind of pull it up. Not a full height tile, but maybe lower wall should also be rubble. I think that makes more sense. And then kind of just angle it to make it look like a chunk of the wall is falling down. So now when you're coming this way, you have a little bit of flexibility, not a lot, but some. Also, you can still get in out of the lava, which is good. And you're coming this way. The lights should be showcasing which way to go. Oh, I want to quickly just add more kind of this pillar thing I had going on. I want to put one right here, but have it really broken off, like just barely kind of peeking up out of the lava. So that, maybe flatten that, pull that down, and then make my selection, pull that down. So actually, let me do it the other way, pull it like that, and then scoot it up a little. So I want you to be able to tell like this, there were, like that's supposed to be there, and then maybe just a hint of the fourth one. So again, I keep scooting this poor lava guy around, but yeah. So here, fill that in, and then maybe taller than that, maybe like that. Again, flatten the ceiling. Pull that down. But I don't want it the same height. I want it higher so you can actually get a good view into the room when you come in here. And then just kind of slip that away. I just want to hint at this, so maybe pull the edge down a bit. So it's still pretty, this side is still pretty open over here, but I want to hint at that there should have been a simple wall there. Maybe I'll open up this cave spot in between them, so it's a little bit more obvious. So I just grab this. And then grab this edge, pull it up. Grab that edge, pull it. Let me switch to vert mode. So V to go into, I cleared up my selection. Dang it. So select this, V for vertex mode, and then V, and then pull that handle up, pull that handle up. Okay. Then maybe grab that handle, pull it down, pull this one way up. Okay. See what that looks like. Cool. I think it's looking good. You're coming back and you have this nice big open area. We have lots of lights kind of telling you which way to go. But then I messed up that torch because it doesn't put itself on that wall. So let's remove that marker. And then let's just grab one of these guys and Alt Shift drag it over here and just kind of manually place it on this wall. Does that look good? As long as it looks like it plausibly could be stuck there, I think I'm fine. Yeah, so torch coming in, there's another torch, guiding you all the way here, and then boom, as the exit. Why did we lose our texture there? So I need to go over here, select that, select texture, and then I need to change the ceiling texture to this, this framed exit. So that way we don't get the vines and stuff generating over the ladder, so you can always see the way out. And I put a torch by the way out, so you know, again, just calling more attention to it. So yeah, I think this is in way better shape than, or not way better, but it's in more interesting shape than we started. I do like this lantern effect up here. So let's go ahead and let's save our progress. File save. And that was, let me just do a quick git status. So that was in fact start number 5. So I need to update. So I need to update those particular starts. So I need to grab starts 4 and 5 and put them into the generator. Let's play a little bit Delver and we'll talk about it. And then I will go on to talking about some of the random texture selection. Paste, copy, replace, and then go back to here. Let's launch Delver. So this is one chunk that will be randomly placed into a randomly generated area. Yeah, so this is the starting area. If you look, for example, let's look at some of our more, like for example, cave. So there are starts, there are ends, there are intersections, tri-intersections, halls, and corners. And these basically are like jigsaw pieces we could stitch together to make procedural maps. You'll notice though, for Undead, all we have are starts and ends because we, as of the sewer update, we've added a way for the computer to procedurally generate those tiles as well. But what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to see if I can actually find those levels we just made in the stream in game, so we can see how they hold up actually running. And I'm just using a developer mode to drop down through the levels just to see what it looks like. But I am level 1, so I'm probably gonna die real quick. Yes! Yes, we did it in 1. That is, we had like a 1 in 6 chance of doing that, so you guys must be my my lucky charms. So cool, so this is the kind of abandoned area with some cheese back here, because abandoned cheese is sweet. This is the start area, which hopefully is okay to find. If not, I will signpost it better. We have this kind of smashed, destroyed area, and there's a lantern back there. I wonder if, is it possible? Can I just get a... Nope. Oh, Joshua, that's not good. So folks actually might be able to trick jump. Yep, you can trick jump across there. So I'll leave it. Maybe I'll add a little extra piece of loot to reward you. That's okay. That's not the worst. I mean, I could remove that, but I think being able to jump over there is not a terrible thing. The thing is bugging me though is are these torches are not being. This one's being lit proper. These guys are not being lit properly, which is strange. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think this area is looking sweet. So this transitions over to here. We keep coming back. Yeah, I think this is all right. Okay. Let me try to fix that torch issue, and then we'll talk about some random texture stuff. So looking at the chat real quick, and I think I'm on my last legs of coffee. It's just about gone. Oh man, it's gonna be really bitter. So SE24VAD question, could you explain a little bit how the rendering of the scene works? Are you rendering do you pre-render chunks of tiles, or are they all separate objects? How does it scale with layers? Pertub Gap says, hello Joshua. Hello. And True Shadox keeps saying adding an excellent jeweled dagger. Um, I don't think I'll place actually hard-coded items until it comes to like really special areas, and those will probably be unique items that you could only find there. And Jewel Dagger is just a drop, but I'm guessing that might be one of your favorite drops if I had to take a guess at it. So we were just editing level 5, and so we're talking about adding. So yeah, here's a loot drop. So add a marker for loot, but the lantern is there to attract people's attention again because this whole lighting thing. So yep, that's over there. You can see there's something back there. You can trick jump over there to get to it, and then there, ooh, mace. Um, you actually get there without taking a whole lot of damage, which is okay by me. Um, but these are still lit weird. This one's lit okay. I wonder if I just have to. What I think I can do is uh, delete them and then add them back as an entity instead of a prefab. So torch, and then I can edit all the options. So let me go ahead and slap it back on the wall and see if I can replicate the behavior. And then I had them up a bit, right there. So if I hit play, it's still dark. Okay, so I am getting the behavior. What I think I can do is I can go in here, and there's a flag called Fulbright, and if you toggle Fulbright, it's unlit, and that makes sense because it's a torch, and a torch is right at the center of the light source, so uh, that is okay by me. So what I'll do is I will just drag a copy over here, and just to be safe, I will delete this prefab torch and replace it with the Fulbright torch here. Okay, play. So the torches now look correct, and we have our crap, our sweet piece of loot over here that gets generated along with the lantern, which is cool. So let's file save. Um, Close that out. Let's update our generator. So starts, that was number 5. Copy number 5, and then put it into the generator zip file. Paste. Yep. Sweet. Okay. Um, and the status. Okay, so let me just commit this real quick before we forget about it. So I use a combination of the command line and the GitHub app. Let me just discard those changes so I don't care about my save game. What I want to capture is the generator zip, the start piece 4 and 5, because those are the two we've been editing on the stream. And I will just say more work on temple start number 5. Commit that and push out those changes because we don't want to lose our work because that would be sad. Okay. Um, and then, oh, so Shadox is saying he prefers short swords. Yeah, when Chad and I were designing the weapons, we were really mindful to try to have a good range of damage, but also of swing speeds. And there's a heavy and light attack, and I found that folks tend to settle on different weapons that are favorites. So I think it's a good sign if there's not a pure strategy that everybody seems to fall under. But to talk about how we do the random textures. So if I fire up the editor and I go back to tile start number 5, because that's the one we've been working on, and it's our favorite one right now. But if you notice, look at this rock wall when I hit play. Um, there's a grassy rock wall that gets subbed out for that texture, and that is controlled by what's called a wall painter. So in the assets folder, in I think it's a generator, and then like undead info.dat, you have these texture painters. So this info.dat is what drives a lot of the procedural generation. So it's all JSON. So if you're familiar with that, you can. It's just it's a dictionary, um, and this particular field is texture painters. And then what texture painters are is another dictionary. So for the Temple uh, texture atlas, we're saying for the walls, um, if you encounter wall texture 0, switch it out with this list of possible textures. And how I do it is, if you'll notice, it's a list of length 10 to make the math easy on me. So if the texture is wall 0, so let me pop open Photoshop and I'll show you what wall 0 looks like. Excuse the weird junk that pulled up. Yeah, so we want this. So um, let me edit preferences, grid. So let me, well, so the grid, you can kind of see how the grid is. So right here, this selection I have here, um, that is texture tile number 0. And it goes left to right, top to bottom. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Which is nice because if you resize the texture sheet vertically, all of the texture indexes stay the same. But if you widen it, then you change all of the texture indices for the second row, basically. Um, I mean, there are tools that can help you resize texture sheets, but this is just a simple way to do it. So I was saying for this is tile 0 for wall tile 0, and in the over here in our texture painter for tile 0, it could be there's a 4 in 10 chance that it stays the same as tile as texture 0. There's a 2 in 10 chance that it will actually select the second one, which is this big block texture. Um, there is a 1 in 10 chance that it will choose the third one, which is this gold one. And finally, there is a 3 in 10 chance that it will pick this small wood block. And that list can be arbitrarily long, but I just choose 10 just so I can get rough percentages of how often uh, items should show up or textures should show up. So this is basically covers all of the temple wall. So basically, when I create a temple area, I only use the very first one, and um, the generator will pick from this top row uh, selectively. Now, I still can place the other textures, but the generator won't replace them. So they become more permanent that way. So it's nice to have a mix of both. And then similarly, if you look for texture number 4. So texture number 4, if you look over here in Photoshop, is this trim texture. So how I think of my texture sheets is this top row of textures up here. These are tileable textures in both the X and the Y. So you can have them go, up and down, left to right, as much as you want, and they should look good. But when I talk about trim textures, um, so these guys here, the second row, they primarily look good when tiled along the X. They can't tile in the Y, they just don't look as nice. Um, so that's kind of how I lay my tile sheets out. So I have like tileable perfectly in the X and Y, and then tileable only in the X. So this just is another definition for wall 4, and then just again I have 10 entries, and it just gives you rough percentages of how they should be swapped out for one another. So like this one is the base. This kind of plain one looks similar but not too different is the most likely. And then this is more likely, and then this is the least likely. So kind of descending like that. Because you don't want this mouth thing to be everywhere, but having it punctuated every once in a while is cool. And then again for number 12, which I think is the ceiling tiles. So uh, looking over here, yep. So this next row, or that's for the rock. So for the rock, for 12, it could either be 12, 13, or 14. So if you look over here, it's, yeah, 12, 14, 13, and just getting rough percentages for that. And then similarly, for generating the sprites, there's a section called geninfos, and what you do is you specify a floor texture. So for floor texture number 8, um, it will there's a 0.11 or 11% chance that it will drop a rock on that tile. So, but you have to keep in mind that this 0.11 chance is for every single tile that has that texture. So you have to keep it kind of low, otherwise you fill your level full of stuff. And again, I mean, there's a whole bunch of gen infos, so you basically specify what to put on there, like a sprite or a mesh, and what atlas and floor tile ID to put it on. So I've been talking a lot. Let me take a quick look at chat and make sure there aren't any questions I skipped. So Maximus, so I guess I've been ranting and people have just been listening, so that's cool, or they've been tuning me out. Either way. So Maximus the Greatest is asking me if I have any examples of a 3D model with pixel textures that isn't square or flat. Sure. Yeah, let me just fire up. I'll fire up Blender, and I'll show you what because they're not. So the answer is I do, but I tend to try to keep them as rectilinear as I can, which means I try to keep things at 90-degree angles as much as I can. So let me, sorry, give me my brain a second I'm used to the Delver edit keys now. I'm moving to Blender. All the hotkeys are different, so got to transition real quick. But let's look at this guy. Okay. So if you look at this guy, he is all perfectly 90-degree angles, and as such, the pixels fall nicely on a grid, and there's no distortion. But on this stone head guy, I introduced 45-degree angles here, and 45s are a little bit easier to hide. So if you look at these seams here, like I try to have um, along this edge here, I try to have dark pixels on this side and dark pixels on the other side, so it's not as noticeable, but you still get situations like I can't zoom in that close, but like right here, um, like right in here, there is a light against a dark. But I mean, unfortunately, it's unavoidable when doing pixel textures on meshes that aren't purely 90-degree angles. But with 45s, I've managed to avoid a lot of it. And also, I mean, there are other models in Delver. Let me just pop over to over here where I just have a bunch of stuff like for example, they're not 45s. They just kind of are a curving arch thing. And I just try to align the textures that make as much sense, but there is some distortion. If you look, it's not 100% perfect, but that's kind of okay. Um, what else is not? I mean, to be honest, I try to do as much as I can, uh, uh, straight up and down and left to right. Like this minecart. I actually do have. It's not perfectly up and down, but I've introduced small angles to give it a little bit of character. And the same thing for like the chairs and stuff. Um, it's close to 90, but not quite 90. There's the little bins here to kind of give it a little bit of interest. Otherwise, it does get kind of I guess uninteresting. And I have about 5 minutes left on the stream, so I'm just going to kind of sit back and see if there's any questions. Um, yeah, yeah. I think I've talked to you guys to death. So Perdev Gap is asking, for some reason my stream doesn't work on the app and you cannot change the quality, so it keeps lagging. So Perdev, don't worry about it. I will post the video on demand to my YouTube channel. That's where I've been putting all of these streams. So you can watch it again if there's anything in particular you're looking for, and you can get a nice quality viewing from there. But I'm sorry that your stream was laggy. Tittles and Bits says, "Am I the pixel artist as well?" Yes, I do. I do the pixel art. I do the 3D modeling. I do the 2D art. I do the level design. I mean, we're a two-man development team that we do this in our free time. So we wear a lot of hats, and there are things I'm good at, and there are things I'm not as good at, but you just got to kind of buckle down and do it. Oh, Eld. Hey, Eld is popping by. Thank you for the kind words, sir. Um, Lord Omega Magica Voxel is a really neat tool if you want to give it a shot. Yeah, there are cool voxel programs out there. There's Magica Voxel. There, I think there's also Cubicle. But I'm not really doing voxel art per se. I'm doing like mesh-based art with crisp pixel textures. So a really excellent example of this is Eld's work. Like he is the master of this, and unfortunately, whenever I look at my art, I see his. So I apologize, Eld. I'm sorry. Um, so Michael says, thank you for the stream. Yeah, I'm glad I could inspire you. Yeah, so if you guys get inspired and do cool stuff, please share it with me because I love to see what you guys work on too. Um, uh, Again, I don't mind people posting links, but do please keep it topical and only when needed. Um, yeah, let me post a link to my YouTube channel because that would make sense. Um, yeah, good idea. My channel. So posting now. That is my YouTube. You can also, sorry, I'm doing the whole self-promotion thing, which I think is gross, but whatever. You got to do it, otherwise nobody will come hang out, and I'll just be sitting in a room by myself, talking to myself. And then you can follow me on Twitter. Occasionally, I will do um, last-minute surprise development streams because my son has fallen asleep and I can work. And I just do those really quick and as I can, and I will tweet those out. Or if you follow me on Twitch, you'll also get it when I come live. Um, True Shaddock says, "Good couple hours spent. Thank you kindly. I really hope I'm not wasting your time. I'm trying to work fast and not be boring." Um, and yeah, thank you for saying kind words about my game. It's hard when you spend so much time with something that you kind of lose your objectivity. Delver is my baby, and I love working on it. Um, so Aller Denisov is asking about asset creation. Yeah, definitely. I would love to do some 3D modeling on the stream also to show you folks how I do that. Because yeah, I get a lot of questions asking people how do you handle, especially the UVs, making sure those are nice and crisp for clean pixel art. Yeah. So when you keep pixel art all the same size, some folks you'll hear them talk about texel ratio, and that is just commenting on how big pixels are in relation to each other. Um, in most modern engines, as long as you keep a texel ratio that is relatively close, you're okay. But in pixel art, when you start getting pixels of different sizes, it becomes much more noticeable, and I think it's less appealing. Um, of course, there are exceptions to this, and there are some folks who do really amazing mixed pixel ratio art. But for me, I try to keep everything at a this the exact same, if not really close, pixel texel ratio. Um, Tittles and Bits is complimenting me on doing the stream. Thank you very kindly. I'm glad folks get something out of this. Feel free to tweet me or email me at joshua.skelton@gmail.com. And if you have anything you specifically want to know, I know fuse.core, he emailed me asking about how we do some of this procedural texture stuff, which is why I saved it to the end to show you guys that. So if there's anything particular you want to see, just let me know. Um, and yeah, one more comment. This is the last question I'll answer because I got to go. But they're asking about multiple pathways on the shopkeeper level. Yes. If you watched the stream earlier, you notice I do um, uh, one block wide pathways are no-no, and I'm trying to fix those whenever I can, and that is on my list of things to do. So that way you can't get caught, especially when leaving with the orb. It becomes super frustrating, and that's when you need the mobility the most. All right. Thank you for spending a couple hours of your Sunday with me, folks. I really appreciate it. Um, I should be on for next Sunday at noon. I will post the details when I know them, but hopefully I will see you next week. Take care. You guys are the best.